This video, I'm going to show you how I helped a B2B SaaS company get a 53% boost in conversions and how you can use the same steps to get more signups and demos for your product. I'm Eddie, the founder of GoX, one of the very few agencies that focuses only on B2B SaaS conversion optimization. Today, I'll show you how to dive into the minds of your visitors and know exactly what makes them convert, find which pages on your website makes people sign up and which pages make them leave, use the framework I followed to create A/B tests that get 10% plus lifts, and run a full conversion optimization program from start to finish.
All right. So as a quick intro, SyncApps is a tool that helps marketing teams send contacts and their campaign data back and forth between their CRM and email tools like MailChimp. This is what their website looked like before we optimized it. So how do you take a site like this and lift conversions by 53%? As a 30,000 feet overview, we first did a deep ICP research. Then, based on the insights, we designed and developed the A/B test, and finally, we reviewed the results, implemented the wins, and repeated this process. So within the deep ICP process research, we're going to start with deep interviews. We're going to look at Google Analytics and specifically conversion path analysis, most engaged content. We're going to take a look at what the most converted devices are. Then we also took a look at the competitive landscape of this product market. And we also took a look at voice of customer research, which is mining for insights in customer reviews. We compiled everything into a VOS table, which I will be going into what that is. And then finally, we took a look at heat maps. Now, here's the critical mistake I see a lot of marketers make is that they jump straight into designing and testing without the deep research in their buyers. And this is a mistake because you won't learn anything about your buyers from the test results. Because if you do research before and you build a hypothesis properly and you test assumptions about your ICP, even if the test loses, you will still learn something about your audience, which is one of the most important things in marketing. But if you just go straight into designing, you won't learn anything about your ICP. And also you'll have a low win rate, which means you'll be wasting a lot of time and the lifts you get will be very minimal. And even if you do get wins, the changes won't be coherent to a single strategy, but it would just rather be a mixed match of things that happen to work. Now, there are very specific types of analytics and reports that can help you immensely in understanding what your buyers need to see in order to convert. But before we look at any of the analytics, we need the context, the juicy context that usually comes from the people who talk to your customers every day. So if you're in-house, this means you're talking to your sales team and your customer success team. In my case, I would be doing a deep interview with the clients, sometimes the VP of marketing or sometimes the founder themselves. The type of questions you want to ask is the ICP profile, so firmographics such as how big their company is, what is their main bottleneck in scaling at this stage, those type of questions, and also about the job title itself of the decision maker as well as related stakeholders. And then you want to understand and kind of ask around for what the underlying business outcome that this persona wants. So not just like what the tool can help you accomplish. So in SyncApps case, that would be just syncing data between the CRM and the marketing app, which is a very, straightforward solution. But we want to understand the underlying goal. And for SyncApps' persona, that's to create more marketing-driven revenue through very personalized campaigns and to keep their data clean between their CRM and their marketing tools. You would also want to understand their KPIs. So what are the actual metrics that their job is graded upon? Also, when you talk to your sales team, you're going to be wanting to ask about common objections. So what are the main skepticisms that your buyers have about your product? And what are other questions that people have on sales calls? You're also going to want to talk to the customer support and success teams about what is the point of friction for users and what kind of support tickets they get the most. Also, you're going to want to ask the sales team about what are the top competitors that buyers mentioned, because people often on B2B SaaS sales calls, they'll be asking like, how is your product different from competitor A? Also, you're going to want to ask around and do deep interviews on why your buyers choose your product over competitors. So what are the exact reasons? And what is the pain point that triggers them to start hopping on demos and searching for a solution? And what is the overall sales process of your sales team? Why it's designed that way? What are the favorite features of your customers once they start using your product, and other buyer criterias? Buyer criterias meaning if your industry uses a specific tech stack, for example, it might be QuickBooks for SMBs, then that would be a buyer criteria, because no matter how much your prospect wants to use your product, if it doesn't integrate into their existing tech stack, they won't be able to buy. So those are the things that you want to mine for and uncover and really go deep into during the interviews. Now, after getting this important context, we start with one of my favorite Google Analytics research, and this is the conversion path analysis. A conversion path analysis literally shows you all the pages someone visits before they convert. And in Google Analytics, you'll want to use the path exploration tool. And specifically, it lets you see up to 9 pages a visitor went to before converting. So for SyncApps, we looked at all the conversion paths from the past 90 days. Then we listed the pages based on how often they showed up in the conversion paths, which helped us learn what pages influence the most conversions, which pages push people towards signing up, what features, if your website has individual feature pages, it's going to also tell you which features that people are checking out and people are most interested in before converting. What other product topics matter the most. So this might be any industry pages or solution pages or even your SEO blog pages. And it also tells you which pages you should be testing first and prioritizing, because you obviously want to start with the very high leverage pages that influence the most conversions. To supplement this research, we also take a look at the most engaged product content. And you can build this report through Google Analytics Freeform tool. And this research is especially useful to see which type of industry pages or persona pages people are viewing the most. Because some of your top of funnel traffic, they might first research on the website, take a look at all those industry pages, solution pages, other feature pages, then they might leave and then come back later to convert. But if their conversion is spread out across separate sessions like this, it won't be captured in the path exploration. So you'd also want to take a look at what pages get the most active users. And finally, we took a look at the most converted devices. In B2B SaaS, it's almost always going to be desktop, but you should always double check for your business, for your product, because every product and business is unique. And if you find out that people uniquely convert the most on mobile devices, you're going to want to go with a mobile first design and vice versa. Next, we did a competitive landscape analysis, which means we looked at similar tools in the market and did competitive research. Now, most people think competitor research is about stealing good ideas or headlines, but the real reason we do this is to find differentiators for your website messaging. We compared various tools like Make, Zapier, and other integration tools that are similar to SyncApps, and we segmented them based off of buyer criteria such as price, whether they were no code or low code or technical, what kind of workflows they supported, their specific use cases, which market segments they served. And this was really helpful because this helped us find SyncApps' differentiator, which is that they're specialized for CRM connections. It's completely no code. It's bi-directional, meaning that not only do the users get to send their CRM contacts to the marketing tool, they can actually send the campaign data from the marketing tool back to their CRM, which not all tools support out of the box. And SyncApps has a specialization for nonprofit businesses as well as other businesses that use Salesforce and Oracle NetSuite ecosystems. After this process, we aggregated all of SyncApps' reviews on G2, and we found some really surprising insights that informed our test, which I'll get into a second. But first, after we collected all the G2 reviews from the recent 2 years, we categorized the common label people use to describe SyncApps features, because there's many ways to describe what SyncApps does. For example, you could say that it integrates tools, you could say it's syncing tools, it's connecting tools, or it's automating tools. And we basically want to use the language that the buyer uses themselves. And the actual phrase that SyncApps users use the most was integrate. So we used that word integrate to describe features in our future tests. We also color-coded and indexed all the positive themes in the reviews and what buyers liked the most about SyncApps. This was really, really useful, and we were surprised because before we thought SyncApps' main value proposition is that it saves people time by automating marketing integrations, but actually not a lot of people were mentioning this. A lot of people were instead impressed with how easy it was to use compared to other clunky tools in the market. And so this gave us a significant insight to use in our future tests. Based off of everything we learned, we put together a VOS table, which stands for value proposition, objection handling, and social proof. We listed out all the value proposition for each different avatar that uses SyncApps, and we also listed out what are the buyer's objections, such as how is SyncApps different to Zapier? Will I be able to use SyncApps even though I'm not technical? Will my data be safe? As well as social proof such as case studies and testimonials that we can leverage in the tests. So this right here became our idea bank for our future tests. By the time we finished putting together the VOS table, which was about the end of the first week, we had enough data for our heat maps collected. You can use tools like Clarity, Crazy Egg, or Hotjar for this. Clarity is free, so it's great for teams that are getting started. And most tools will give you three types of heat maps. The first one is a click map, and this helps you see where people clicked on your website. And it also helps you identify UX issues where people click on non-interactable items and are confused. And then there are the scroll maps, in my opinion, which is the most useful. They show where visitors are suddenly dropping off, meaning that the section where the visitors are dropping off is showing less relevant information. And that would mean it's an ideal location to redesign or run an A/B test to reduce drop off and improve conversions. Finally, there are the attention maps, which shows where visitors are lingering the most, like these red hot regions on the map. Yes, it can mean that the people are interested in that specific content, but it can also signal confusion. So it should be used as supporting data along with the click maps and the scroll maps. Now, based on the insights we gathered from the deep ICP research stage, the next step, we're going to bring everything together and start designing our first A/B tests and developing our A/B tests. So what this process looks like is that we first identify optimization points based on the VOS framework. Then we build a hypothesis, which is a statement on what we think might improve the conversions. Then we create the A/B test designs. Next, we actually develop the A/B test. Then we QA the A/B test to make sure that the test shows correctly on all types of devices. Then we set up the A/B test. And finally, depending on the type of test, we set up the SEO guardrails. So the path analysis showed the hero section was the most influential part of the site. And we used our VOS framework. Again, VOS stands for Value Proposition, Objection Handling, and Social Proof, to spot the weaknesses in the current hero section. For example, the current headlines sync data across sales, nonprofit, and marketing systems doesn't really communicate a value proposition. It's just telling a feature and what SyncApps does. It doesn't really communicate the business outcomes as well as the differentiators that the SyncApps buyers actually want. And number two is, this is super tactical. Based on our past A/B tests, we learned that videos in B2B SaaS hero sections don't perform as well as static product snapshots. This is because B2B SaaS buyers rather just want to see the product interface immediately and scan information rather than having to plug in their headphones and watch through a video. We're able to leverage our data from our past winning A/B tests like this to bring larger conversion lifts faster. And if you'd like us to compare your website to winning designs and see how you can improve your sign up or demo conversions by 20 to 30% in the first 90 days, you can check out our website at groksweb.com and book a strategy call there. I'll also leave a link underneath this video. The third thing that we noticed in the heroes section is that the social proof is not visible above the fold. You don't see any third-party ratings, any customer logos on here, so that is another optimization point we wanted to fix. Now you might be wondering why the objection handling optimization points are missing here based on our VOS framework. But usually our objection handling points are reserved for areas on the website where visitors drop off, or lower on the page where people who scroll all the way down are higher intent and therefore they might be on the verge of converting, and an objection handling element can help take that leap of faith. Now, objection handling elements can be FAQs to answer the questions that come up in sales calls, or even dedicated sections that answer specific concerns that are unique about your product. So based off these three optimization points, we designed a variant test. In the variant, as you can see, the social proof in the form of customer logos are immediately visible above the fold. The headline speaks directly to the business outcome of achieving growth. Sync your CRM with any app, no code, only growth. It also speaks to the differentiator, SyncApps is completely no code. We call out the audience in the eyebrow by saying number one choice for Salesforce, NetSuite, and nonprofit CRMs. And most interestingly, we created an interactive module where the users can immediately choose their CRM and their app and get started right away. This is because we found during the conversion path research that people were going to the search page very often to look for the app they were looking to connect out of the long list of integrations that SyncApps supported. So we knew that people just really quickly wanted to find the apps and get started. So that's why we put this feature right in the hero section. Based off this design, we set up the A/B test, sending 50% of traffic to this control, 50% of traffic to the variant. And we chose the A/B development method, which means we're overriding the front end code of the website using JavaScript. Now, sometimes you'll want to run A/B tests, sometimes you'll want to run split tests. If your website is CMS based, like Webflow, it's really convenient for you to run a split test just by copying the page and changing that one section. But if your website is custom coded, it may be better to run an A/B test before making permanent code-based changes. So that's why we chose this method. After we launched the A/B test, we let it run for about 2 weeks to make sure we have enough conversions for a valid winner. And this is when we moved into the final phase, review results and implement the wins. So reviewing the results means we're looking at the actual A/B test results in our A/B testing tool. We're also looking at supporting metrics like bounce rates as well as click-through rates, which isn't exactly the same as a conversion, but we're measuring the amount of people who are clicking into the demo page or the sign-up page from the homepage. Then we also take a look at the heat maps of the new designs to see if there's anything we can learn from it. Finally, based off of all this insights and new data, we put together a report, we share the learnings, and if the test is a win, we implement it to the live website. After running the test, we won with a 10% plus conversion lift. We checked click maps to confirm that the integration module in the hero section was doing what we expected. People were loving it, they were clicking it, and they were, getting started right away from the hero. So we implemented the win permanently to the website. And we also, shared our learnings, what we learned from this test about the ICP, and repeating this process over 90 days led to our final lift, a full 53% increase in conversions.
I hope this was helpful. If you'd like to see how we increase Pearl Talent's conversion rate by 23% with a single change to their form page, check out this video here.